Guys, I just realized that I've never made a single HR specific video on my channel, even after doing the HRM program from XLRI. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Medha, aka the artsy, and I am a stranger on the internet who loves to vlog her life and also give a lot of MBA Gyaan and mentoring session. So if in case you want that, you can mail me here. And apart from that, I'm a consultant in the corporate world, but when I'm not doing that, I am probably making a lot of art and taking up new project. So if in case that interests you, you can follow me on my Insta or subscribe on my YouTube. I mean, that would really mean a lot. And yeah, let's not waste time and start this video. That is everything about HR. So recently in my mentoring sessions, I've been asked a lot of HR related queries, a lot of HR specific mock, and that just made me realize that okay, I need to make some HR video on my channel, and not everyone can avail this guidance session or interact with me. So yeah, I want to help people out. And I asked on my Insta as well as on my YouTube that what kind of questions do you want me to answer, or what topics do you want me to talk about? And oh my god, guys, I got an overwhelming response. There are too many questions to be answered in one single video. So I decided, okay, I will be making a 3-part series, and this will be the first part of it. And I think part 2 and part 3 will be uploaded next week from whenever you are watching this video. So yeah, I have my laptop here. Let's start with everything HR. In this video, we will be covering broadly 2 topics. First is what are the different departments or domains of HR, and secondly, what kind of role can you expect after doing an HRM program from any college, not necessarily XLRI. Why I'm starting with this is whenever I'm taking a session and I ask, what is HR? Like, yes, you want to do HR, what do you think an HR does? And believe me, guys, I don't know about you, but 80% of the people whom I interact with only know 30% of an HR's job. They think HR is only recruitment and training. That's all. Like, yeah, you take interviews, you do exit interviews, you kind of give them holidays, salary, things like that. And I'm like, okay, that is a very limited idea of what an HR does. And I think I also thought like that before I did MBA. So this video is for those of you guys who want to understand what are the different facets of HR and the roles. Because one more thing which I've seen a lot in my session is you guys think, okay, if there are 5 or 7 different type of HRs, I can get 5 or 7 different type of roles, which is not true. Okay, I will clear everything out. So yeah, let's start with the areas or the types of HR. So the first one and the most popular of them all is the talent acquisition. इसी को लोग बोलते हैं कि hiring करना, interview लेना. But instead of using those terms, you can use the word talent acquisition. And these people not only take entry interviews and all, but they check the entire process. So understanding which department of the organization has what kind of demands, how many internal hires needs to happen, how many lateral hire needs to happen, like how will the succession planning look like, and things like that. Just understanding where the talent is going. So basically, the entire recruitment as well as the onboarding part is generally done by the talent acquisition team. But again, it can depend from company to company. But I'm just giving a very generic idea of each department. Second is learning and development. This one is the one where you guys say, हम लोग training देते हैं. HRs are responsible for the training. So it's also known as L&D. So here the HRs basically understand the skill gap between what that job requires or what is the market level skill set and what does that current batch or the team of employee has. So here they recommend courses, they understand what kind of development needs to happen. So do the people need a certification course or an on the job training, or like for example right now AI is the talk of the town, right? So all the L&D department will be recommending certifications on AI. Or again, in a particular company there can be different departments which requires completely different skill sets. So it is the job of the L&D folks to identify ki, okay, this person needs to do this training while this person needs to do a completely different one. So yeah, that is L&D for you. Third is performance management. So performance management folks are the ones to basically grade you and to tell you whether you are doing the stuff which you ideally should be doing in a company. So these are the guys which look at the KPIs or key performance indicators of a job. Now, again, when I was studying, I didn't even know there was a term called KPIs. So now you know, and you can use this term in your interviews also. Every single job has a different kind of KPI. So, for example, a sales guy, his KPI will be the sales targets. So, if he's achieving that, that means okay, he's performing well. But if you are an HR, there is no fixed KPI. Or suppose you are in a very client facing role like a receptionist or a BPO guy. So for you, your KPI or your metrics on which you are judged will be based on the client feedback. So every single job will have a different set of indicators which you need to look at in order to grade you, right? And the job of the performance management guys is to basically firstly decide what is the exact KPIs for that particular role of that particular job in that particular company. So it varies a lot from industry, from companies, and even departments. And once that is decided, or the company has decided, to basically check each and every person of that department is following that or not, is able to perform or not, things like that. The next is IR, okay, or industrial relations. This is a role which you will not be seeing in every single company, because for this, as the name suggests, industrial relation, you actually need to have an industry or a factory. So this is very much popular in FMCGs, and the person or the IR person is basically solving problems, resolving disputes between the company and the union leader, the trade unions, the workers, and all the different stakeholders. Their job ideally would be to look whether the company is paying the workers properly or not, whether the hygiene, the safety, and everything is according to the standard of the labor laws of India, to look into strikes and doing the other regulatory function, and to, in general, as I said, if there is a dispute regarding any policy or anyone has any grievances, to basically solve that. And again, you might be thinking, okay, the FMCGs will have the IR function, right? But what if it's not an FMCG? Then this role changes its name to ER, or employee relations. Now, again, guys, just a disclaimer, I am using very layman term so that even a novice can understand the difference between the different departments. But again, there is more to it. I'm just talking on a very surface level. If in case you are interested, please go and do your own research, or I can make more videos. But this is just so that holistically we understand every single department. So yeah, coming to ER stands for employee relations. Employee relations may, again, the person is looking into the policy making, the person is looking whether the company is abiding by the laws. But here there is no union leader or trade union as such. They just deal with individual employees and to see whether they are getting their PPFs, the gratuity, things like that. Like everything is according to the policies and the laws in India. Next is diversity and inclusion, or DEI. First disclaimer, not every single company in India will have this separate department. Maybe normal HRs are doing the job of DEI, but if in case they have a separate team, their job ideally is to see whether every single community, religion, backgrounds, genders, like every single one is represented in the company or not, whether they are getting equal opportunities or not. Can they take some initiatives or have some certain plans and program in the company so that people who are not getting equal opportunity get that? These people are also taking different initiative, having different engagement programs, and looking at the overall well-being and the diversity of the company. And lastly is the compensation and benefit, or famously known as Comp and Ben team. So Comp and Ben basically is the department which decides your salary, decides your CTC, how much of that part should be fixed, how much should be variable, what should be the benefits that you ideally be getting, like the holidays, the paid leaves, everything like PPA, gratuity, how much percentage should be, like what. When I was in my UG, I used to think with my friends that, hey, why is my salary structure or anyone's salary structure so different than few of my colleagues? Like, why is that? Why is the number of holidays for me different from that of my senior or my junior? Like, why is there a disparity? So it is basically not a random decision, but something which has been calculated based on multiple formulas in a complicated Excel sheet by this comp and ben team. So those were the major departments of HR. But guys, I need to give a few disclaimer right now. First, not every single company in India will have these particular departments. Okay, these are the major functions, but it can vary from company to company. So in few companies, I have seen that there is a separate team for onboarding. Okay, then I've seen companies where there is a separate team for engagement. So the DEI team is not looking into engagement. Again, I've seen teams where the DEI function is integrated with the talent acquisition. So there can be a lot of variation, but these are the major functions. And yeah, again, the name of these departments can also vary from company to company. I know there's an organization where there's a department in HR which is called HRs for HRs. So they are basically the HR BPs of HRs. And there are a lot of different variation, but I guess you get, if in case you didn't know, you will get a basic idea of how each and every department is different. Now, coming to the second part of the video, that what kind of roles can you actually expect after your placements if you have done an HRM program? And broadly saying, there are like three kind of roles, generally speaking, that you can get. And the first one is the most common one, and 60 to 80% of the people will land up in an HRBP role. HRBP stands for Human Resource Business Partner, where your job will basically be to be the channel or the mediator between an employee and specific departments of HR. So if an employee comes to you and says, hey, I think there is some error in my salary and not getting what is mentioned in my CTC, then he will be coming to you and you will be guiding him to the comp and ben department. Or if an employee comes to you and says that, hey, maybe I need the license of this particular software for my job or something, you will be guiding him to the L&D department. So you are basically the facilitator between the employees and giving them solution by connecting them to the particular department or the particular person which can resolve their issue. So you are basically like a CR, okay, if I have to put again in a very layman term, and you are their representative and you guys will be solving the problems which that particular department will have. Again, the HRBPs are for different departments. So you can be an HRBP for sales or HRBP for finance, HRBP for service. So your job is to basically see that your particular function department is problem free and to basically give them solutions. The second role which you can get is that of a consultant. Yes, I am in that role. I'm a consultant. And here how it functions is, even though a company has hired me as their consultant, I won't be working for them or I won't be solving their problems, their department's problem, etc. They will be sending me to their client, so any third company, and there I will have to solve their business problem or any problem. So because I'm an HR consultant, I solve HR problems. So the problems can basically vary from company to company, from project to project. It can be related to attrition, it can be related to optimization, it can be basically anything. कि engagement नहीं हो रहा है, diversity नहीं है, I don't know, like any problem. But as an HR consultant, my job would be to firstly discover what that problem is, analyze, give them solution. And or not I, like any HR consultant for that matter, will be working on a project for a few number of months. So a project can vary from 4 months, 3 months to even 9 months, 8 months, I don't know, like it depends. And like you guys will have a contract with the client and it can also vary. Like for me, I work from home solving and interacting with the client, but there are people dependent on the problem can have to go to the client's office to function on a day-to-day basis. And lastly is corporate HR. Corporate HRs are basically the people working in the different departments, which I've mentioned, like the comp and ben training, talent acquisition, things like that. Generally, you start with a very junior role if you don't have that much of work experience, especially if you're like a fresher after your placement. So you can get into talent and acquisition or learning and development. Not necessarily comp and ben, because I've heard comp and ben may you require a certain number of work X to understand and strategize. But yeah, these are the generic roles that you can get. And here you will be working with that particular team and not necessarily directly interacting with employees, because again, the direct interaction generally happens via the HRBP. So those were all the points which I wanted to say. But guys, before ending the video, I also want to give you a tip or a hint, if in case you don't know what kind of role a particular company is coming for placements. So think logically, okay? So all the FMCGs, so like HUL, PNG, Reckitt, Bajaj, all these companies has factories. Asian Paints, Godrej, etc. These companies has factories. So mostly they firstly will have a lot of stints. Okay, so they have a management trainee program where everyone who gets a placement will have to travel a lot. Generally, one particular stint is for 3 to 4 months or even 6 months, and you guys will have to travel all across India to know different facets of your job. So it can be sales, it can be HR, it can be service, I don't know, depends on the company. So you guys will have to travel the first 2 years of your life and will have to learn everything from scratch. And generally, the role that you get is that of an HRBP, from what I've seen. Or if the company has a lot of factories, you can even get an IR role. And generally, people look forward to do that role because again, they are into law, or that is like the core HR, right? You are handling people, you are working with the unions and making policy. That is like the core HR. And if you are interested in that kind of role or that kind of life, I would say target the FMCGs. Make your CV according to that. But if you're someone who maybe doesn't like law or maybe is not ready for that kind of life, you know you won't be enjoying it. You don't like travel or you want stability. You don't want to talk to unions, or I don't know, you don't want that kind of life, then maybe FMCG is not for you. You should target the other companies like banks, like some strategy company, medical company, I don't know. Like basically, you will understand once you get into a college, you can easily bifurcate companies into two-part or three-part, and then you'll be like, okay, FMCGs are not for me. I should look for these kind of roles or these kind of companies, and accordingly, you will apply and do the stuff. So I think it's good if you have that clarity beforehand, because I have again seen a lot of people very, very passionate about FMCGs, very much passionate about HR, IR, ER, things like that. Again, there are people who were very clear that, hey, I don't want to do that kind of work. And it's okay. It's okay if you have that clarity and maybe prepare accordingly, maybe understand what kind of company other than FMCGs and all come to your campus. You research about it, you make your CV according to it, understand their aptitude test, etc. And lastly, the consulting company. I mean, consulting, if normal consulting company, the big three is there, but HR consulting, I don't know, big three separately HR के लिए लेती है या नहीं. I mean, you can get into big three and then get an HR project. But if you want to do only HR consulting, no other kind of consulting, then I think you should look into Big Four. Big Four has a separate HR wing. I'm sure Big Three also has, but at least in my college, there was no bifurcation between a normal consulting and an HR consulting for Big Three. But Big Four had. So maybe see if you can apply laterally, see whether some openings are there or not. And yeah, I think that would be my 2 cents on HR domains, roles, etc. I think I covered all the points, but if in case I've missed, please put it down in the comment section below. And yeah, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.